So welcome to my rant, or also my process of educating people so that you can be an astute buyer or an astute owner, an astute seller, as you just think about solar panels, because we are seeing so many people that have installed solar panels, which can absolutely be great. Like, let me be very clear. I am in full support of solar panels. I would love to have solar panels, but there are some significant aspects of ownership of solar panels that you need to consider if you are a property owner. Specifically, things that can really jeopardize the equity or just the financial situation that you put yourself in if and when you do go to sell your property. Because the thing is, although we have 30-year mortgages that are very popular, most people do not live in their home 30 years. You ain't staying in your home 30 years. I have yet to meet one current person as a client, even family member directly, that has lived in their home, paid it off over 30 years and stayed in it. Now, not to say that's not a wise financial decision, but that's just not common. Most people don't. So with that in mind, you are in essence, when you take out these very large sums of money, you are like financing your electricity and you're taking on a debt. And there are different ways that you consider debt. There's good debt and bad debt. Specifically with real estate, it can be considered a good debt because your asset can now appreciate. So now if you owe 200, but you can sell for 300, now you're in the green because, hey, you now have equity, you have proceeds. Even after you pay closing costs, commissions, and so forth, you can walk away with additional funds while also still having shelter in your home and having the full, rights of ownership. When you add on solar panels, that can change that scenario significantly because most of the time it comes with a payoff. So even if you have your monthly payment of, say, $150, for example, so you're paying $150, you might save on your electricity bill, which may be $200 to $300 per month. So now you do have your solar panels, you're paying $150 a month, so you have significant savings. However, in 2 to 3 years, you then decide to sell your property. And now when you sell your property, we sit down, we're going to have a consultation, we're going to look at what's going to be your net proceeds. And one of the aspects of that conversation is, what is your mortgage payoff? So as you pay on your mortgage, you're paying it down, and ideally your property value is going up and up and up and up and up. So now you're just gaining more equity and more net proceeds. Well, when you tag on that additional payoff that may need to be paid off whenever you do move, and that's how most, in my experience, I can only speak to my experience. I've worked about 5 solar panel transactions because it's a pretty new thing. So it's something that even us as real estate agents, we have to adapt with the market. So understanding how this can play off in all the different scenarios, and there are also different contracts. So there are different solar panel providers, there are different contracts, there are different financing ways in which to fund and purchase solar panels. So all that to say, all of this is just me sharing my experiences. So if you have other experiences, please drop them in the comments, but I'm not saying everything that I say is law. However, based off of my experiences, most of the time, these things got to be paid off when you get ready to sell your property. So that means either you, the seller, have to pay off these for the new owner, or the new owner can purchase them outright because it's not necessarily going to be appraised just because, there are $25,000 left on the solar panel payoff that the appraiser is going to value the home and now $25,000 more. Because at that point, it's an over improvement. So just because you do this one thing to your property and no other home in your community that's similar or comparable has ever sold for this amount in the last 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, anything like that, then now you're in a situation where your home is over improved. So yeah, you can do this. And if that's an intrinsic value to you, or if you just want to be a good person and save the earth, because we do need to preserve the earth, because we need the earth. Otherwise, you can put yourself in a pickle, and that's what you want to avoid. So beyond that, I just encourage people to think about the longevity of it. Are you going to, or do you intend to live in your home for many years, and consider that in comparison to how long it will take you to pay off your solar panels? Now, with that, it's also important to think about maintenance and also how your solar panels will be impacted by storms and what may be covered by your warranty. So if a natural disaster happens, because all of this begins to impact, and I'm not saying this is, we knew this all. This is all things that I'm just sharing. This is what pops up as you do things. Are these going to be covered by your home insurance? Do you need additional coverage per your home insurance policy, or is there an exclusion on your home insurance policy for solar panels? Because to the home insurance company, they are more so concerned with the home, not necessarily this accessory or this improvement. However, this improvement is not part of your home. So it creates this significant gray area that you want to make sure that you understand, make it black and white. We don't like gray when it comes to real estate or when it comes to financial obligations and responsibility. Also, along with that, just thinking about damage in general. So for me, for example, I had one client, we went to purchase, we were selling her home. I was representing the seller, great benefit of the solar panels and so forth. There was damage to one of them. There was a crack on them. Apparently, they were able to do some tests and so forth. So everything was still functioning well. They were producing it, but it did pop up on the home inspection. So of course, the buyers are, negotiating to have these either repaired or replaced and so forth. Well, one, that's a rabbit hole down itself. Can we just replace the panel? What does that cost? What is that? Who covers that? Because to my seller, she was like, well, I don't know. I went up there on the roof. I don't know how it got cracked. So we don't know if a bird flew on it or if it was some little bat. It was some rascals. If it was some rascals throwing some rocks, but it also could have been an accident. Kids could have been literally out playing or something, and then a football or something, I don't know, a baseball comes and hits the roof. Bow, now that's your solar panels. Who covers that? Will your home insurance cover that? Because that may not be a covered event, because that's not necessarily like an act of God or a natural disaster or something that may prompt a claim. So again, these are all questions you need to ask when you are considering solar panels beyond just this amount. Now, there are some solar panel companies that are willing to move your solar panels as well if and when you do move. So that can be a significant benefit. However, it would also be important for you to ask, well, how much is the cost to transport those? And is that a locked in cost, or is that going to be something that's determined if and when? Because most of the time, they're not going to give you a guaranteed, if you decide to move in 10 years, it'll only cost you X amount of dollars, because they don't necessarily know exactly what's going to happen. And also, when it comes to just different organizations, when it comes to solar panels, those companies may not even be here, because you have a lot of different business structures and business entities and so forth, to where when it comes to long-term maintenance and management of these, you don't even necessarily know who may still be around. So it's also important to consider the reputation and the longevity of these companies or organizations, which solar panels are new. So, you can't necessarily have anybody that's that, have a significantly long solar panel history. They may have been in another business sector and moved over into solar panels, but those are all things to consider. But ultimately, I think solar panels can be a really great benefit, especially to just conserve energy and also protect our planet. But if you're really interested, I would definitely recommend buying them resale. The goal is to buy them resale. It's better than buying a car. It's kind of like the same example where they say, you buy a brand new car, as soon as you drive it out the lot, boom, you just lost value in your car. Like, it's no longer brand new. It's the same thing with solar panels. So you can come in and slide in on the buyer side, because most buyers are not going to cover this full cost or for whatever this payoff is on these solar panels. And many buyers don't even necessarily want to take on this payment if they do it as a payment assumption, where you can just continue to pay on these loans. And that also does impact your financing, because if you're taking on a new debt to income is a very big piece when it comes to your mortgage, or even just like your credit worthiness in general. So when you sign for solar panels and that's considered a debt, you have now just increased your debt to income, because this is a significant financial commitment that you made to purchase these solar panels for your energy. And the caveat is, otherwise, electricity is not a debt. So you're still paying it per month, but your credit profile looks significantly different when it comes to your credit worthiness, because your electricity bill is not reported on your credit. There are new ways now, but for lack of better terms, it's not. Okay, it's not considered a debt. On a financing tip, when it comes to mortgages, it's not a debt. However, that's something for you to consider on your affordability tip, as far as what are your utility costs and so forth. But that changes your credit profile. So when you think about that, a buyer may not be willing to take that on. And when it comes down to it, if you are really looking to sell your property, and the goal of being a homeowner is to have options, whether you want to hold your home and rent it out, whether you want to sell your home and take your proceeds, whether you want to stay in your home and maybe leverage your home for home equity loans or line of credit to reinvest or do some other things that you may need those funds for and pay those back, you have a lot of options. However, when you make decisions such as an over improvement, which in my opinion, in some scenarios, solar panels can be, that's something that could really hurt you in the long run. So these are all just things to think about and ask questions before you do move forward with purchasing solar panels. But if you do, I definitely would love to hear just your feedback. What are some of your experiences? What have been some of your costs and so forth associated with your solar panel? Because I'm sure that many people have had a very positive experience. I think in my experience thus far, It's just been one of those things where it was a very short-lived positive experience. And when you do go to move on and sell your property, now it's more of a challenge that we have to work through and get through, which we absolutely can. I've done it. But the best scenario, in my opinion, or in my experience, that we've been able to get to is splitting the payments in half, or splitting the balance in half. So for instance, if it's $20,000 left on the solar panels, buyers paid $10,000, seller paid $10,000. It was a great benefit to the buyers because they got a full set of solar panels already installed and everything for $10,000. And for my seller, they were selling their home. They took a hit on their proceeds. However, it was better than them having to pay the full $20,000. So that was a compromise that we were able to negotiate and meet with the parties, baby. It's a party. It takes two to tango. Sometimes we think there are opposing forces when it comes to buyers and sellers, but at the end of the day, the transaction it has to be mutually beneficial. So somebody wants to buy your house, you want to sell your house. How can we come to an agreement? But if you do have more questions, I would love to answer those. Drop me a comment in the comment section, or feel free to send me an email, call, or text message. And I look forward to hearing from you all soon. If you do have any questions, or if you are in need of a referral agent wherever you are, feel free to hit me up and I'd be happy to connect you with a local agent to help you with your needs or answer any of your real estate questions. Again, my name is McShan, and thank you so much for tuning in and watching.